Hola, mi gente. What's up, my people? Welcome to another episode of En La Mesa with your host, Carlos. I want to welcome everybody to episode number 2. But before I begin my episode, I really wanted to take this moment to thank everyone for their comments, for reaching out, text messages, phone calls in regards to my first episode. Didn't think I was going to get the response I was going to receive, but totally grateful and with all humility and humbleness, I appreciate all the kind words and the positive messages that were sent to me, whether we talked on the phone or text or in person. Thank you again for the support. I didn't think it would start off the way it would have, but again, I appreciate everyone's support and for reaching out and for wanting to be part of this journey. Secondly, thank you to everyone who has listened, has shared or followed the En La Mesa podcast, either on Instagram, TikTok, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're comfortable with listening. I appreciate your follows. I appreciate the listens. So thank you very much. So let's get to it. Episode 2. Welcome. Let's talk about this, right? Episode 2 is something that I believe a lot of us do, and a lot of us kind of are very good at, but in a way that is not healthy for oneself in terms of procrastinating, right? Being a procrastinator or sitting on things. How many of us sit on ideas or career goals or life events or bills or trying to make things happen for yourselves, and we sit and procrastinate and wait and delay because we're just in the middle of a season, or just tired or lazy, if you want to call it that, or just not don't have the energy for it, right? The motivation. But the ideas are there. I know I'm one of those, and I can definitely say that I've done that for many things that I've been passionate about, and one has been even with this podcast, right? It took me some time to come up with this episode 2. I've had a notebook full of ideas and topics to discuss about, but I sat on this second episode for some time because I really had to find the motivation to do this, right? To find myself to be behind this mic, because outside of speaking and loving to talk to people and getting to know people and getting to interact and making friends and making acquaintances, I don't like to listen to the way I speak, right? I don't like the way my voice sounds. I feel like it's cringy. And that's why I kind of sat with it, because even though I did my first episode, the second episode was really difficult to do because just didn't feel like people would listen, right? And again, not saying that you folks out there and the folks who listen to this and the people who reached out didn't listen to it. And that's why I had to keep moving, right? And keep doing this podcast, is because of that, right? Is people did listen, right? And they wasn't listening only because of my voice. They weren't listening to my voice. They were listening to the message that was behind it. So I sat on it and procrastinated because I didn't think I was going to be good enough to do this, right? To be honest. And that's the procrastination I had. And that's why I decided to do it on procrastination and procrastinating, why we procrastinate, right? And I think about it and I sit here and I say, wow, procrastinating sometimes is not about being lazy, right? I don't think it is. I mean, I'm very curious to know what you guys think and what you guys feel about that procrastination word, right? So please reach out to me via email, enlamesapod@gmail.com. You can follow me on all the social media platforms like I mentioned. It's En La Mesa. Give me your thoughts. Give me your feedback. Love to hear what you guys have to think about that. But to me, procrastination really doesn't really all stem from being lazy or really delaying something because um, you just don't want to. I think it has to tie back to a lot of things that um, we experience in life, whether it be traumatic, whether it be just lack of motivation, whether it be lack of support, or maybe being in a Latino family. Sometimes when you grow up in a Latino family, right, you come up with ideas, and sometimes those ideas get shot down, right, really quick, right? You're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to be a baseball player, or I want to be famous, or I want to be a doctor. I mean, sometimes, our own family members are the heaviest burden that we carry because sometimes the the words of encouragement or the words of support are never really a focal point, right? I think sometimes as parents, even now me as a dad, I think about that sometimes when my kids come to me and they say, "Hey, Dad, I want to do this," or "Dad, I listen to this," and sometimes we try to be the bearer of bad news because, oh, you can't, you got to be careful. You really can't do this. When really all they want to hear is, "Hey, you know what? Go ahead, do it. Let's try it. Let's make it happen. Let's see what happens," right? Because that's really what sometimes what I feel we believe that we need. We all need this, right? We all need those words of encouragement. We all need that push. So that's when I think about procrastinating. Why people procrastinate? Don't get me wrong. People do procrastinate sometimes because they are lazy, right? Sometimes the answer is right in front of you, or the things that you need to do are right in front of you, like laundry. I can sit down here and look at 2 baskets of laundry, and I'm just tired, and I just don't want to get them folded, right? But I got to get it done. I mean, there's that type of procrastinating where you're just like, oh crap, I gotta just fold all these clothes and clean my house, right? The things that need to be done to kind of your day to day, or But sometimes, like I said, that could also tie into procrastinating because you don't feel well, right? Emotionally, you're just like drained or like tired. You had a long day at work, or a long day with school, or maybe you got an argument with your friends, or with your partner, with your loved ones, and that just takes it completely out of you, that you just don't want to do anything, right? Same thing comes with being an entrepreneur and being a business person, or being an influencer. When you're used to speaking and you're used to telling people, you know what, you can do it and you can make it happen, and sometimes you don't get that back, or in return, you kind of close the door and you're like, I just don't want to do anything because I'm just tired of pushing, and tired of telling others how to feel, and telling others what to believe in when I don't even believe it, right? So to me, procrastinating has a lot of variety of spectrums, or an array of areas where it can actually impact one's life. Um, so to me, that's what my definition of procrastination is. And sometimes, we have to kind of look at it, right? Look at it for what it is, right? Sometimes we see ourselves and we're looking for that validation. And sometimes we can even tie it into your love language. Like, what is it that you need to help you move forward, or what it helps you to kind of motivate you? But sometimes you just got to look at yourself in the mirror, I think. And I feel like looking in the mirror and getting that validation for yourself because you deserve it is always the first step, right? And I think that's the hardest thing when you are looking for constant validation, or you're looking for your family to see you, right? See you excel, or your friends see you excel. It becomes a difficult or a strenuous chore for you because you feel like, oh my God, I constantly have to be doing this. I constantly have to be in the spotlight, because if not, I don't want to look like a failure, or maybe I'll move in private because I don't want people to know what I'm doing or how I'm doing things, because I don't want, the backlash for people to talk about me, when in reality, sometimes we're our own worst enemies, right? When it comes to a lot of the things that we sit on, and the things that we don't move into. And I look at what I've been doing lately, and what I've been trying to get involved in, especially with this podcast, and how it took me 6 months to kind of even want to do this, or kind of put it into a reality, or to fruition, that I wanted to do this, right? I sat on it, and as you've heard, I didn't like the way I sounded. I've recorded probably like 10 to 12 episodes of the same topic in different various voices, I had my kids sit with me and we did a test podcast, just talking about hockey. And every time I played it back, I was like, I do not like the way I sound. So I sat on it and I procrastinated because, again, to me, that was something that was traumatic for me to even listen to, because I just felt like my voice was very cringy, um, to say. But I found um, the strength to go ahead and do it, and I said, I'm going to move forward with this. So I'm interested to know, like, what are your procrastinations, like what are your roadblocks, what are things that kind of hold you back. And to me, it's, even if it's getting dressed, right, and going out, sometimes, it takes a lot for someone to do that, right, because they're just in that season of feeling heavy, right, and I don't feel like things are gonna go my way, so I'm just not gonna take care of this. And, it also hinders into your life, like your bills, you're taking care of yourself, you're making yourself look beautiful, or makeup, and you tend to look at something, I feel ugly, I feel fat, or I feel skinny, or I feel unloved, and I think procrastination kind of plays into all those emotions, and that's why it's I'm a big proponent of writing down your thoughts and journaling. What is it that you need to help you get up and move, right? And that's why looking at yourself in the mirror, right, giving yourself first that self-validation, to say, what, I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to do this, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a career goal, whether it's a um, change of a house, or if it's a change of environment, or whether it's a new love, or whether it's uh, something that you're going on with your partner or your kids. Is being able to face it, right, and say, I need to do something, because if I sit down and don't do anything, this may eat away at me, right? This would make me feel like I'm not capable of doing anything. And I think that's how we procrastinate in life. We don't take um, the necessary steps, because they're constant, who's looking, who's going to say something, who's going to not be on my side, who's not going to give me the support. And sometimes the supports don't have to be 100 people. The support doesn't have to be your inner circle. Your support doesn't have to be your family. Heck, your support doesn't even have to be your kids or your spouse, right? Or your partner. Sometimes that support comes from strangers, complete strangers that you don't even know. Some of the people that don't know you, that see value in your product, see value in what you're doing. And then those that are close to you will see it and be like, wow, you know what? They do have something. That's why I think growing up in communities of, of color and of Hispanic race, we have, I believe, the hardest time sometimes being successful in things, because of, we weigh ourselves down, right? We don't give ourselves the support that we need in order to succeed in some things, because we're so secretive and so private and so um, unsupportive to each other. If we see one succeeding, we kind of kick them in the shin and say, hey, sorry, not right now. You can't be as big as me, or you can't be as successful as me. Or if you're successful, then you can't leave me down here. I need you to stay in the lower ranks with me, instead of kind of helping that person get to where they need to get to, so that way then you could motivate yourself to get to. But again, these are all my opinions. This is how I look at things and I see it. And I think, some of it is that leads to it. And then, there is that procrastination that you're just lazy. Like, you have the answers right in front of you and you see it, but you just don't want it, right? Don't see it. And then your regret comes in afterwards, like, oh, I should have done this and I should have made it happen. But we all have our challenges, right? And I feel like we all can find our ways to move ourselves, whether it's speaking to someone about what's holding you back, how do you get moving forward, how do you at least take the steps that you need to start being getting yourself in the right path, per se. So with procrastination, like I talk about a lot about how I sit sometimes and sit on things, and because of course I'm part of the male chromosome, we take on, and also when you have some adult ADHD where you're taking on multiple tasks and then finish it. That's definitely something that I am a uh, witness to, because of course sometimes I take on more than what I can, or bite of more than what I could chew, right? And I was like, oh my God, I got to finish this today, or I got to finish tomorrow, and I just put it on the wayside. And I use laundry as an example, because when you do your laundry, right, and you put it in the basket, you're like, oh, now I gotta fold this, and you like I gotta fold it, and you see your kids, and you're like, come on, you guys have to help me fold, and they disappear once they hear the word help. But you know, you then set to sit on it, and they'll sit here for a day or 2 days and 3 days, and then you're like, oh my God, I got need clothes because I'm running out of clothes in my dresser, and oh, but all my clothes are folded, and now they're all wrinkled, and eventually you have to fold it. So that's where procrastinating, I believe, tends to take us even with life, right? When we don't get to it, and I talk about, your bills, or you talk about the things that are important to your health. If you sit on it and you sit on it and you procrastinate, guess what? It all eventually comes and catches up to you, because you if you're not facing it, or you're not trying to figure it out, because you're looking for someone to give you the push. Sometimes you have to just look at yourself in the mirror first, right? And not look and need the validation from others, or don't need the approval of others to get things done. If you really want it, if you really seek it, it'll be there. It'll be there. But you have to self validate yourself, right? And then I go back to love language. When we talk about love languages, right? Um, Being able to know what is it you need, right? What is it that makes you who you are? What is it that helps you continue to wake up every morning, push yourself, and get things done, and make things happen for yourself and then for everyone else, right? I think that's one of the things that you need to recognize, is that, am I a person that constantly needs validation? Am I a person that needs hey, you're doing a great job? Or am I the person that needs to reward myself, right? With potentially giving myself maybe a coffee, or getting myself a lunch, right? Buying myself a nice lunch because I've accomplished this goal for the week. Um, those are the things that you need to seek within yourself, to say, what is it that I need to kind of help me get up and move forward, and to take on those things that I am so passionate about, and write them down. Write down those things that you're passionate about, right? Get a journal, write them all down, and start with one, then maybe two, but start off with one. Start off with one thing you can get done. Start off with one thing that you can be good at, and that it's for you, not for anyone else, not for your kids, not for your spouses, not for your family, not for your friends. Something that's going to make you successful for you, something that's going to give you the rewards that you're seeking, to continue to push you forward in what you're looking to accomplish. And whether that be paying my bills on time for 30 days, or making my car note, cutting my car note in half, right? Or even getting a raise at work, or giving myself this vacation retreat that I need for me and my mental state. Write them down. Start off with one. Give yourself a timeline. I'm giving myself 30 days, 20 days, 10 days, 90 days, whatever it is time you need. Write it down, so that way you can start motivating and moving yourself to getting to those places where you need to be. Because again, once you start doing it, and people start seeing how you're moving, and people start seeing your attitude change, and people start seeing how you're individualizing yourself for your mental state and for your validation, your self-validation, those additional validations and additional words of encouragement, those additional responses will all be there. And I'm not saying that any of your support or any of your friends are not there for you right now, because one thing that we do, I think, as human beings, or some of us do, can't speak for everyone, is that sometimes we don't reach out, we don't ask for the help, we don't say, hey, can you give me some guidance on this? Because what we're afraid of is afraid of the rejection, right? I think we're pretty much, as human nature, don't like rejection. We don't like people telling us, oh, well, you know what, why you want to do that, or why are you having so much difficulties with this? You got to know who you're reaching out to. You got to know who your real ones are. You got to know who your real friends are, all those family members that are positive, even the ones that have known and seen you go through the hell and back, per se. And then your closest, your kids. I think if you have kids as a parent, they look up to you and see you as their role model, see you as a person that um, is the person that can handle these types of situations, because I think we're always the ones to be like, you got to always do what's right for you. You got to always do this. You got to always stand on the pedestal. But then when it comes to our own lives and it comes to how we deal with things, we sit on it, right? We sit on a lot of things, and then your kids see that, right, and say, well, if you're giving this advice to other people, why aren't you doing it, right? So I think even if it's with your own kids internally, like you do things with them, right, to kind of help show the progress that, look, this is what I'm working on. I want you guys to be part of this. And in the beginning, your kids may look at you like you're crazy, but like I said, once they start seeing that you're giving yourself that grace and that humility to move things forward for yourself, and that you're self-validating what you need without having to look for it from other people, you tend to attract that good energy, right? And your kids will start to see it, and it'll start giving them that positive reinforcement to say, wow, my mom or dad are doing what they need to do, and I can ask them for advice and they'll be able to help me move forward, or maybe even help you on your task at hand. So with that being said, I'm interested. I would love to know how some of you who are listening handle procrastination, whether it is something that's traumatic or something that's emotional to you, or whether that you're just lazy, right? But I mean, let's if we had a long day at work, let's go another week. Or if it's you just don't have the right connections, right? Or you don't know who to talk to or who to reach out to. Or maybe you don't, you just don't trust, right? Don't have trust in people, don't have trust in anyone right now that anyone's really going to help you. And why I'm big at stating that, it starts off with you, right? Look at yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself and give yourself that grace. Give yourself that humility. Give yourself that validation to you first. Because you're going to be your biggest cheerleader, right? You're going to be your biggest audience, right? And when you find that within yourself, I can almost guarantee that once it starts to spread and your family starts to see it, your friends start to see it, it becomes contagious, right? Because they're going to see that, wow, you're really doing something that you're passionate about. And like I said, you're going to have your haters. You're going to have people that are going to look at you. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's going to be from your family. Those closest to you are the ones that are going to be the ones that are going to really try to be jealous and be hurtful, right? Are not going to be the ones that are going to be there to support you. But try to hold on to those that are there for you. Try to be there for those that are there for you. Try to give words of encouragement to those who have given you words of encouragement. Bounce things off of people that have been there, done that, right? Even if it's something that you feel like it's not your vision, take it in, listen, understand it, hold on to it. You never know. Maybe their vision for you, or maybe their words for you, can help you kind of see something you're not seeing, right? And I think that's a big key too, is when we procrastinate, we are always so hard-headed. I'm doing this my way and that's it. And that's what I want to do it because it's mine. It's mine. Why do I have to listen to other people? Why do I have to do things? And sometimes you're right. Sometimes that it should be your way, right? But sometimes, taking advice or sitting with someone who's in that area of advice, or been there, or has that experience, is something just to take in. Doesn't mean you have to change your life for it, or doesn't mean that you have to do it. But it's always good to take that and to have support in ways, like I said, that is not so close to you. Or sometimes you're going to have that family, right? Sometimes you're going to have your family there that's going to be your biggest fans, and they're going to do whatever they're going to do, and they're going to drop everything to be there for you and help you with financial needs, maybe getting you a home, getting you a car, or even helping you with your career, or helping you with that business, right? Maybe you want to open up a restaurant, maybe you want to be an influencer, maybe you don't know how to start. Maybe they're going to say, hey, you know what, let's participate, let's do this together, I want to be part of this. Because unless you try, right, and you give it a shot, you're never going to know what you're capable of. And I see a bunch of my friends that are on social media that are travelers, and I love that because I want to be a traveler, right? And I give them tons of kudos because they're also working parents that travel, and they make it a point to document it and post it. And, I admire that because, that helps me kind of say, that's where I want to be too, right? I want to be traveling too. And I want to go places they're going to, and So I live vicariously through their posts on social media, but I know one day I'll get there, to the point where I'll be traveling and doing my podcast from somewhere exotic or somewhere um, different than in New York. Um, so those are things that I look at, right? And like I said, I sit down and I kind of follow podcasters and kind of see what their vision is and how their stories are, and how they use their platform to reach other people. So why I sat on this for a bit and why I took some time was because I didn't want to be just an ordinary podcaster. I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. Because the moment I mentioned, oh, I want to do a podcast, I got a lot of, oh, everybody's doing podcasts nowadays. And then some people were like, I got you. What do you need? I have a ton of equipment. I'll help you out. Just let me know what you need. And I sat on it. I sat on a lot of things because, again, I was not comfortable with myself. I was also afraid, like, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to do? What, is this just going to be like a one episode, a one and done, or is this going to be something that I have to be constantly on? So even though I did my first episode, I kind of sat on it because I have a ton of topics that I want to talk about. And I've had a bunch of people reach out to me that they want to tell their story and they want to be part of this. And that's my motivation right now, right? So that's my motivation, is to make sure that I continue what I started here, and don't give in to my fears, right? Don't give in to the laziness of my voice is not good enough, right? Don't give in to the thoughts in my head that who's going to listen to this? Oh my God, only 4 people listen to it. Oh, well, that's 4 more than what I had from the beginning, right? So that's how I view myself. And this is, what I talk about in terms of procrastination. But I want to end my podcast with just letting everyone know to just be kind to yourself and be good to yourself. Don't feel like you're a failure. Don't feel like you can't accomplish anything. I know I've done that to myself a lot of times, especially when I fail and a lot. But I move forward, right? I continue to just deal with what's in front of me and address it the best way I can. But I'm interested, like I said, if you want to reach out, if there's anything that you want to talk about, if you even want to be part of the podcast, email me at en mi casa, oh my God, en la mesa _pod@gmail.com or en la mesa pod@gmail.com, correction. And I'll be happy to answer any questions or be happy to have you be part of this. I want to thank you all again for listening, and look forward to many other episodes coming soon. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk soon. Take care.